So aye, but like once the water goes down here and that grows in, it actually won't look too bad, like bald. So, and then once that gets a bit of traction as well.
Yeah.
But no, I need to dye my eyebrows if I'm gonna go skinhead, I think.
Get one of those fucking void pens.
Void pens? What's that?
Kind of like what people use for doing their beard.
Oh, right, okay.
Just fucking give a little twist and then a brush it and it'll be natural looking.
Just called a void pen.
Yeah.
What is that?
Men's void beard pen or something.
Oh, I mean, what the fuck am I? Anyway. Men's void beard pen. Something like this. Void home beard filler pencil.
That's the bad boy.
Shit, I should have just got that instead of getting implants.
You'd be there all day with that thing. It's tiny.
One fucking sweat will wipe off, no bother.
That's gonna run down your face as soon as you do a hard session.
Oh, aye. That's no staying about.
Instant definition fuller beards. No mess, no smudge, no stains.
I actually got one, and it does work quite well.
Yeah, actually?
Yeah.
All right.
So
and it doesn't run off?
See if you have like, I'm trying to think. See like that bit there?
Totally
full.
Mm-hmm.
If I put it in there and like, even though it's not hair, you just put it on, brushed it, it looks natural as fuck. Actually looks like you've got hair. It's weird.
All right.
So it's pretty
I might do that then. I don't know. Right, so welcome to episode 37 of the Scottish Silverback podcast, and we're just discussing how I look like an egg. But yeah, got the transplant done on Monday. Like leading up to it, I'm sure I told you, Greg, like I just couldn't be. I didn't really want to go, to be honest. I was kind of having second thoughts about it because it's just a pain in the arse, like getting over there and all that. So, but when they shaved my head, and like I saw how far back my temples were, so there, I was like, "Thank fuck, I'm getting this done," because that's way further back than I thought I was. And then the first thought was I look like my dad, so I was like, "Oh fuck." But no, once they got they put me to sleep for the first half. It wasn't general anesthetic; it was just a sedative. So I was just so high that I don't remember it, and I fell asleep. And that's when they removed all the what do you call it, donor hair from the back of the head. So that's what that is. That's all right to touch, whereas that's like really dead scabby. Yeah. And yeah, they done my beard as well for those watching. Where that, there's about 1,000 grafts in my beard as well. So hopefully, once the blood goes, that will look way better than it does just now. But I've got big lips already, but that's made my bottom lip swell. So the boy at security was like, "Have you had your lips done as well?" I was like, "No, mate, I've had my beard done." He's like, "Oh, I didn't even see the beard." I was like, "Oh, fuck off."
It must be such a laugh sitting in the airport, though.
In Istanbul, no one batted an eyelid because there's bald guys everywhere with fucking scars on their head. No one batted an eyelid. And then when I got to Heathrow and Glasgow, it's like that. Fucking pure, just like the absolute staring. I was like, "Oh fuck!" But and then I went to the gym. Right, I thought I was going to get absolutely destroyed. But everyone was like, "Oh, you looks all right." I was like, "Fucking hell!" I was waiting for just be roasted all day long. But people were asking questions about it and all that as well. So I was dead surprised. But no one's roasted me yet. So
okay, I wasn't there.
But you said I look good bald, so you gave me a compliment. I didn't expect that.
No, I just called you like Uncle Fester in person.
So no, I'm glad I've got it done, but we'll wait and see how the next 10 years pans out, see if I need to get it again. But hopefully not anytime soon. Because my client who recommended this place, it's Hair World Turkey, if people are wondering. He's had 2 done, so he's had I think 6,000 grafts done. But he was way worse than me, so he was all bald to the middle. So he had, I think, the middle and the front done because they can't do too many at once. And then he went back and I think he got the crown done. So that's what.
Where to take it from? Does that not grow there again?
Well, because that's healthy follicles, so that'll grow back.
That's what it says. So the follicle will grow back and it'll just be like normal hair. All right, okay.
Places where it, like if you've gone bald or receded, the follicles shrunk to the point where it's gone, basically. So that's what that is. Whereas they're taking it from healthy follicles, so that'll just grow back. The root will grow back.
Are you expecting to have to go back, or do you think one will be enough?
I think one will be enough for me,
Yeah.
just because it was just there at my crown. I know you can't see it, but my crown's like that many, so it's not actually that much. So it's 3,000 on the top, because like I didn't really, apart from receding a wee bit, I still had quite a lot of hair, to be fair. And if I styled it the right way, you wouldn't tell that I was receding. Well, I thought anyway.
Style a bit like Trump.
Aye, so so it's basically I've just basically had it kind of filled and thickened. But there is guys that the guy that was with me that came for me to the airport, he was like, I'm gonna have to come back for my crown, because they only filled the top. Because he said to him, what about my crown? But see when they're all like penciling it in, and he's like, what about my crown? He's like, oh no, we can't do that in one day. That's too much. And he's like, okay, fair enough. So you'll need 7.5 hours. Yeah, but I was out of it for 3.5, and then they stop for lunch, and then they do the rest. But I was awake the whole time, so I was bored as fuck. They had like Turkish television on, like a music channel.
Oh, fuck.
And like, not to sound racist or anything like that, but Turkish music sounds all the same. So I watched the same songs about 5 times. So that got bored and really, really quick. And then it wasn't necessarily my head; it was my lower back felt the worst. So you just lying in that same position the whole time. So I kept like having to stretch and stuff like that. And they're like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's not my head; it's my back." So that was dead uncomfortable. But if you're lying in the same position for 7.5 hours, obviously that's going to be the case. So, but no, now that I'm home and I didn't take too much of a slagging, I'm actually quite glad I got it done. So it's I've used the time off from my shoulder quite well, I think. So
decent.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right. So that's my head covered. Well, not literally, of course, but metaphorically. So Jack, what's been happening since last week? How's the week been? I know we keep asking you that in off season, but there's not much to report in off season.
I know, it's like plain Jane, the same thing every week.
Well,
exactly that, same as last week. Good week so far with regards to training, in terms of everything sort of gone up, which is good. That's me about.
£300 yet?
What's that, mate?
£300 yet?
I fucking wish. I think give it a year and a half. But yeah, no. To be fair, everything's been going up. So pulling from the floor, I've started doing that again. Last week, since I was down, the first time I trained with you, Greg, that's when I kind of started again. Stopped doing it for a long time. Don't really know why, but numbers are going up pretty quick. So stuff like deadlift, bit of 260 this week, which is a nice increase. Feeling comfortable. So I'm just trying not to rip the piss out of it. I've got quite a long off season this time compared to before last year. So I've got the time to just kind of string it out nice and slowly and not fuck my body up, which I've been pretty good at. So take it nice and slow. But yeah,
how do you feel with a big change in training? Like obviously I know I wrote your plan, but obviously it's a fair shift from like your volume work before.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're still fucked after the session, or do you feel like you're maybe not doing enough compared to your volume before?
No, I'm fucked. So what catches me out was I still have a lot of volume, and it's the top set. So like I said, 6 to 10. That's what fucks me up, and then to go in and do the back off set kind of 15 to 20, then it just takes it out of me. So it's good. I'm getting accustomed to it now. It's a new style of training for me, but I'm enjoying it, which is good as well. And I find with that style of training, it's easier to push progressive overload with compared to what I was doing before. So I'm enjoying it in that aspect as well. So the scales are going up as well. Well, 2.5 pounds. So.
Did Ben have you on like a Patrick's Stewart style training?
I did my own training, so Ben just does my diet and sups. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've tried a few things in the past, but to be honest, I've always done what I did with Graham, which, to be honest, had a shelf life at some point. So I couldn't keep doing that. So So no, really enjoying this. So especially going from the floor is good. I'm noticing I'm feeling a lot stronger. As my back's getting stronger, I'm feeling a lot stronger in my squatting as well. So
yeah, the two go kind of hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. So
that touches a good point, whereby like as you go through like your training, how you have to adapt regularly. So you can't do this as much as like we consider certain things quote unquote optimal. I think stuff is optimal at certain phases. I mean, for instance, like I've went from like 6 days a week training to then dropping down to 4 one set to failure for a few years, bumping that up, and then doing Patrick's style SST stuff, and now dropping back down to the 1, maybe 2 sets for an exercise, and then like sprinkling like SST stuff in there as well. That's kind of like my setup now. And then obviously with the shoulder injury, I've had to change how I train chest. So it's kind of it kind of evolves. Like one thing may be optimal for a certain amount of time. I don't know if you both saw the debate they had between Ian and Fuad, where they were proper going back and forth with each other. I understand both camps. I think I'm somewhere like, as much as I kind of lean towards more Ian, I think you can kind of see argument in like the middle, whereby something's optimal to a point, and that may be like a time scale, or that may be like some other factor that alters your training. So
it's all relative. I mean, when I was going with training before, I was sort of, that's why I kind of give Greg a shout. Kind of hit a wall, wasn't really going anywhere, and it wasn't just a couple of weeks or a month or two. It was almost kind of a full year. It was like something kind of has to change. But the way I'm training now, 4 days a week, like I don't think I could cope for more than 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, like you were a huge junior, so obviously what you were doing worked to a point. So
you know what I mean, it's just try to take it to the next level now. So got to be smart, injury free as well. So
that's always me.
Really good debate they had though. Obviously, it went on for ages. I did as well, but like us, because they were speaking and trying to like fight their opinion, I sat and just like, listen. I started to like bubble up my own opinion of it all, and like the only thing I could really say was, I think it just generally depends on how that person can apply themselves to training. Like obviously, like yourself, like when you want to get psyched up for like say that big 6 to 10 set and like a big movement, it's not just a case of going in and doing it. You really have to kind of visualize it, get a little bit emotional, angry, and like attack it like with a little bit of acceptance. Like I could hurt myself here.
Yeah,
not many people can go in and do that. So that's when like I would say like to go to like, the other style training, like a little bit more high volume, accumulate more volume over that is probably for them.
Yes, that's pretty much what I was saying as well. For instance, like I don't know how you're training arms just now. Are you just doing like one set just now, like one all set?
Well, I have 3 exercises for biceps and 3 for triceps, but they're all 3 sets in each. And
okay, so all right, so I'm similar. So like I don't want to do like what is considered optimal, like maybe like 1 or 2 working sets for biceps, because I know after 6 weeks my tendons and my brachialis are going to be fried. So I would rather do a less quote unquote what is considered optimal and make maybe a percentage less progress, and not run up against the fact that I need to deload every 6 weeks or not train arms every 6 weeks. So like the enjoyment aspect, that was the problem with that argument, is it was purely what is optimal. And then that's where Ian won the conversation. That's not the only thing that goes into this. I mean, like Fuad kept bringing up Jay Cutler. I thought that's where he kind of had Ian, where he was like, you really think that if Jay Cutler didn't train the way he trained, he'd be better? And Ian was like, yeah. And I was like, how can Jay Cutler be better? Like, really?
You don't know.
You don't know. That is a big aspect as well.
About Dorian, like Dorian could have done like 3 sets in exercise. Would he have been better?
Dorian definitely would have been better in the latter stages of his Olympia career, because he was just like, that style of training didn't serve him anymore. He should have went backwards, but obviously he was obviously locked in his ways of that's what built the physique. That's what I'll do forever. So that's what I meant by you have to take training what is optimal in terms of phases. One thing's optimal for like 1 to 3 years, one thing's optimal for another 3 years, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, the olden days is a bit different, isn't it? Because
yeah,
like in the past, I guess, like, but like Dorian, you were probably disconnected from everyone else. Your training style was your training style. You didn't really know any different. Whereas now, you know, we're so connected. It's quite easy to, you know, tap into how other people train and try new stuff.
Yeah, you're kind of. It's definitely like information overload. Even for us, I know sometimes like I'll be watching someone or reading something, and I'll be like, you know, I'll start overthinking it. You know what I mean? Even so, that's even like guys at our level get that, let alone someone who's never stepped in a gym before. It must be mind-boggling, because we had I'm not too sure about you, Jack, but like me and Greg definitely like grew up and still in the magazine age. So you did have what was written down in that, and that was it. There wasn't many bodybuilders in Aberdeen, so you know it was very much trial and error for the first 3 or 4 years. So, Greg, in terms of the warehouse seminar, how did it go? I know we spoke about it privately, but just for folk to know.
Honestly, like, I think we had the cap quite a bit too high. Obviously, we were going to fully accept like 40 people to come. We never got there because we knew like where it was, and we only did it like over like a 4 to 6 week periods. We weren't going to grasp that many people, but we had 15 people, and it was literally perfect because we gave them so much each, and like we still broke up into like three groups. I had a group, Dan had a group, and Ali had a group, and we're all fucking like doing little individual bits. I was doing like more push stuff. They were doing back. Someone else was trying to do glutes and something else, and we're just giving them like information how to correct the form or how to structure their session. It was really good, and because of like the group was only 15 people, you could really get a bit more into it, like having so many people swarmed around you and trying to do it individually. So yeah, it was really good. But it was good to obviously meet everybody in the team I've never met before. It was good to kind of show people like running through like the difference between deadlifts, stuff like deadlifts, RDLs. And once it's all done, me and Dan got a leg session in, so it was good.
Jack, right? Can I get your opinion on something?
Do
you? Right, hold on. Let me load it first before Greg can react. Hold on. Right, was a warehouse? It must have been warehouse that shared it.
A photo.
Aye. We've had this discussion before, Greg.
Is this the old warehouse?
No.
Okay.
I've got it preloaded. Do you think Greg and Johnny look alike? Because I think they do.
I'll tell you who Greg looks like there. Have you ever played Assassin's Creed?
Aye. Yeah, he does. What's the name of the boy in Assassin's Creed again?
I can't mind.
I can't remember either. I think Greg looks like Johnny. I think they could easily be brothers.
You never know. Genetics are there. Yeah. Super heavy genetics.
Aye. It's definitely something. Mate, everyone I've spoken to agrees. Like, not like direct brothers, maybe like half brothers or something.
Yeah. Somewhere down the line.
Somewhere down the line. So, all right. Sorry, Greg, you were saying?
I remember what I was saying. I just think Dan ended the day on legs, so it was a good session. It was a bit late on the day for me. By the time I go home, I was fucked. I had so many check-ins. Like, just try to get through them. I was like falling asleep here.
Yeah. Like, I think 15 people is a good amount. I think 40 would have been way too much anyway.
Oh yeah. We didn't
especially in warehouse
too much about it, but we're going to do another one over like a 2-day, probably the same idea again. Then the next day we'll probably do like a posing camp.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
And then we're going to probably get over 20 for that. But like straight away after like we posted, because we had Mike there, the guy's done my YouTube and that, and he was obviously taking photos and filming. And obviously gave us all the photos straight away and we started posting it, and everybody was like messaging, goes, "Oh, this looks so good. I'm so gutted now I didn't come, and I'm going to come to the next one." So I think it'll be a better tournament.
Yeah,
that's what you need to do. Just keep punting it. Just keep punting it. It is a good thing, and it's what Scotland needs as well. Is someone go down the route. I know Ross Irvin does like a few. He's done a few camps before. I don't know if that's just for his clients though. I can tell you. But no one else I can think of in Scotland does camps like that. So, yeah, just all it needs is just a bit of momentum behind it, and more people will come. So,
I mean, like Dan and Ali have done a few of these before. Ali actually runs a lot of full bore stuff, and it was kind of, they went and done, like, obviously me and Johnny and that were talking as well, but like they were the two main speakers, and they were actually so good, like speaking with people and bringing up topics and like letting people join in as well. So like when Robbie, the owner, handed us like go and speak, straight away Dan was like, well, we want to get to know you first, and it was like everybody kind of said their piece, and then we got to interact with them, and it was a really, really good way it was set up. So they were kind of good in what they were doing.
So like kind of a few things. I've actually I know we try not to script this, but I've written down like a few things like I've come up during last week. So like the number one thing that came up was people trying to get a card just for the sake of getting a card. Like they have no like ambitions to compete as a pro. We'll put the feelers out as to like what your opinions on that. Like, do you think, like, obviously you can't win a pro card and then if you're not gonna, if you like saying you're never going to compete, they're not going to take it off you. It will just run. Your membership will just run up. Yeah. But like, what do you kind of? But that IFB status, pro status, will be used forever, regardless if like their membership's expired. You know what I mean? So like, what's your kind of views on that?
I think it is a bit stupid. I mean, it's like obviously something you've wanted to achieve for a while, I'd imagine, but to get it and not actually do anything with it, it's sad and pointless. But I can understand, like, they've probably trained and wanted this for so long, and it's like, even though they know they're probably not going to do well in the pro ranks because they can't be asked going any further, but that's like a goal. It's almost achievable, and that's like, if I got that, I think I could end my career happy because I've wanted it for so long. So I can understand their train of thought, but
what about like people who just purely use it like for business though? Like they're only getting a card to punt their own business.
Yeah, it's stupid and sad, really.
I mean, it's not really, it's not easy to do by any means. So there, it kind of, it's like there's like a middle, almost like a grey area there. Like it's not easy to get a pro card, especially in open bodybuilding. And if the goal is purely just to get your card so you can punt more coaching, then have you not earned the right to use the banner as IFBB Pro and not compete?
How much do you think business it would honestly give you?
Well, there's no male IFBB Pro in Scotland, so maybe in Scotland it would.
Yeah. So then if you look at some of the best coaches, like they're not pros, eh?
Yeah.
We will soon find out what, like, if it actually brings anything to us or if we become more recognizable. But really, it's not, our life is not going to change as soon as we get that.
No, I get that. I get that in the point. I get that, but like it does draw more eyes. Like in our industry, it does draw more eyes to our page.
For me, like, for us, we know like it is just something that we can achieve, but to do something with it is far more impressive to us.
Yeah, 100%.
Improve and actually go stand on like a stage and be comparable to people, then that's impressive to us. I mean, for general people, they probably think, oh, he's a pro, great. Oh, he must know something. He must be better than everyone else, whatever. But to us, like, we know people who do have it that really shouldn't.
Yeah, and we also know that like when you get it, that's you back to the beginning again. That's you like that's like you being a junior again.
Sure.
You're unless you're Andrew Jack, you're right back to the bottom of the pile. So for us, it's not like it is that step and a momentous step, but you know, we're still like, right, what's next after that?
Yeah, that's how it does seem silly though, because of what goes into achieving it.
Yeah.
Years in the financial investment, time investment, you know, to do nothing with it would seem a bit, I think.
Yeah.
It's a waste. But,
you know, like,
I mean, like,
always say, like, even James on said it long ago, and nothing against his train of thought, but like he was saying, it used to be harder back in the day to achieve it because you only got like one show in the UK a year to really achieve a pro card, but it was nowhere near as popular or populated as it is now.
I agree.
You're fighting against way more people for this, even though you could be amazing. There could be somebody is just better than you, and like that's like who could probably go on to actually within the next month to do quite well at like a pro level.
Yeah,
I think it's not. I think it's a kind of the same because, like I said, it is more popular now, and the amount of people that are competing. I mean, how many people were at the Arnold competing when we were there? 600.
Aye.
That's a lot of people competing at a show, and I guarantee back in the day when, I mean, the British was the biggest show. I guarantee there was not even one third of that.
Yeah, I agree.
450 at my qualifier.
That's what I'm saying. I was 500 at my qualifier. It's like that's almost unheard of.
Aye. You're right that it has balanced out with the popularity, and if that was the case, there'd be more. Yeah, there'd be far more British pros if that was the case, but that's not the case. So, I usually agree with that one, but I kind of just got brought up this week, so I was kind of like, is there anyone out there that kind of like is only doing it purely for business, basically? And I thought, like, like I said, if you are willing to put in the graft to get to that level, to purely just use it for business, have you kind of, earned the right to punt that title just to make money?
Yeah.
I'm going to say so. Greg, you brought this up earlier, is the people who make like a separate lifting page on Instagram.
Yeah.
Tell me why you hate that.
Like I said, like obviously your Instagram page is for you posting what you find fascinating, like your enjoyment, bits about your life that you want to share, whatever it may be. It's like, but it's so strange. Like when people join the gym, they could post that on the page, but like, no, fuck, I'm a serious lifter now. I've got to make a lifting page, like fucking blah blah lifts or blah blah fitness. It's like, really, you're like everybody does it. It's like you're not like, I don't want to fucking piss anyone off, but you're not special. It's like if everybody's doing it, it's not really a thing that's like going to get a lot of traction from it. I mean, like if your page say got what general people got like 2,000 followers or something, I'll guarantee you'll probably have like 300 followers on your fitness page.
If that.
Exactly. So what is the point if more people are going to see it on your normal page?
Yeah. And what also I was in agreement was like people like seeing like we all put personal stuff up on our Instagram page. It makes you like personable as well. If you're trying to be this kind of fitness image, it makes you look better if you actually show that you're a normal human sometimes as well. So like separating the two completely. But then you see fitness pages that it's not even fitness. It's just a selfie in the same mirror every fucking day. Like, what was the point in a separate page? But it also blows my mind that they make their separate page private. Like, you know what I mean? It's so stupid. Why would you make it private if like you're separating the fitness side of things to try not and bombard your personal one with fitness? I don't know.
I can understand if you want to create like another page to promote your OnlyFans, because you don't want everybody like, taps your butthole. But like obviously make that private and you can accept who you want to see have a look at your butthole. But like for fitness, everybody's going to see that. It's just like a thing you enjoy doing. It's just be on your normal page.
Aye. And also like we said, we're not kind of like trying to like have a go anyone in that, but you know,
we're just like wondering why. Like it makes
I don't understand the thought process behind that, but
like you were on about there, like obviously we post about our personal lives. Like even for us as coaches, that's quite important because you'll probably notice yourself, you almost attract like people that are quite similar to you.
Yeah.
Like I remember somebody told me a while ago, I should post more about your life and this and that, because like being like a dad with kids, you'll probably attract that kind of client because they think, oh, he's a dad with kids, like he does it really well. He maybe knows how to do it. I'm going to approach him and like we'll work together, blah, 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 because like I said, like he's done it, so maybe I could do it. So it is important, obviously, post about your personal life in some aspect, not all of it.
Yeah.
And for us,
if you feel you're pissing people off by constantly posting bodybuilding or fitness stuff, fuck them. Let them unfollow you. Who cares?
Yeah. Why are they calling a bodybuilder?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I thought that was quite amusing. Another thing that we have spoken about before on the podcast before, but it's like, do you just follow that Mike something? the Canadian guy covered in tattoos, trains Antoine.
He's always putting out reels right now.
The Mike Black.
Aye.
Yeah.
No, is he black?
Was it Mike Black?
Mike. He's got like a Dutch name, I think.
Okay.
I'll share his page for him.
I know who you're about. Yeah. He's been putting out loads of training reels recently.
His reels are brilliant. I really like his.
Spits a lot of truth.
Yeah. Stop
Mike,
using big, overcomplicated words.
Mike Van Wyck.
That's it. Yeah.
So I'm just going to share it for people who don't know. We'll share that. So this guy. So, so he's obviously he's come up through the old school era. Yeah. Like obviously he's taking the piss here, like saying like motion optimizer instead of just saying like personal trainer. So yeah, if you haven't seen this guy before, like go through his reels, and he talks about like how guys and coaches just use like every word in a thesaurus for like your arm or your leg or your chest or whatever, or like different words for saying lengthen and different words for contracting, and like I try when I'm posting and stuff not to talk like that, because number one, I don't talk like that in real life anyway. Like I know what all the terms mean, but like I feel you sound like a bit of a weapon if you are constantly talking in that language. Number one, if you're a coach and you're trying to punt yourself and your business, the majority of people aren't high level competitors that care in that much detail, and talking like that I think just makes you look like a fucking dick. But just want to get your opinion on that one as well. Like too much lingo, basically. Like, is there too much lingo?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because like the only guy that I feel I can listen to talk like that is Hypertrophy Coach. So for some reason his voice just like transcends that language, and I'm kind of like I'll listen to that. But like when people talk about using all the fucking scientific terms for just say have your knees travel over your feet, just say that. It doesn't make you less stupid. You're trying to get a point across, and like, you know, fucking internal rotation while fucking contracting and blah 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 blah. It's just it's too much, I feel. And I think we're talking about, obviously, just we kind of brushed on it there at the start, where like, you know, beginners coming in. Imagine being a beginner now and you've got a PT who's probably in your gym talking like that. You're like, this is fucking, like, what is this? It's just so overcomplicated. But I understand why people are doing it. They're doing it to make themselves sound smart, and you're going to hire a coach who sounds smarter. But I think people just want it broken down in terms of like where to put my arm. Like, keep your arm close to you rather than saying tracking the fucking rotational torque. Like, don't talk like that. It's fucking ludicrous. So like it's a bit too much. But I get what they're doing, but it's too much.
Yeah, I fully agree. There is certain things that you do need to say in a specific term, but it's not, that is actually just like how you have to say it. There's no really a like simple abbreviation of it. Like, you know, like a general fucking PT client probably doesn't know what the hell the scapula is.
Yeah.
But you're still like trying to explain like why your elbow has to travel down in like a row movement other than straight back. And you're trying to explain like where bits in your back and stuff are and why it connects in a certain way. And also you do, they're probably still looking like, fucking scapula, what are we talking about? But then that is just how you have to say it.
Yeah. Jack?
It depends who you're speaking to as well, because
obviously,
imagine you've got a one-to-one client in and they're a lifestyle client, and you start speaking to them like that, they're just like, yeah, okay.
But even
most
then,
people
like,
probably would, most people wouldn't say anything. You know what I mean?
But even then, if someone's talking to me like that, like I've been around, you know what I mean? I'd still be like, mate, don't talk like that. You don't need to impress me with words. You know what I mean? It's like, I know exactly what you mean when you say, just in plain English, do this with the elbow, do that with the leg. That's all you need to say. You know, it's like, I understand, like, see when you see the likes of like Cuba and people at that level talking like that.
Yeah,
I know what they're doing. but it's when you have guys that like are just like not just starting, but they're kind of like that lower intermediate level talking like that. You're like, mate, you're overthinking it. You're way too much fucking talking about like the arcs of strength and like all these different like terms and stuff like that. That you like. I understand it's good that you know them, fair enough, but does it make you better? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make you better. Overcomplicating things like that, language.
Well, people probably wouldn't even know what the hell Cuba just said. Like Cuba probably will, but they'll still go away and take that term away and like cheer it on. You know what I mean? And I've no idea what he said.
I think it was. I think it's Harry. I'm going to share my screen again, but I think it's a good thing to do. Harry Harris posted something. I thought it was quite funny. It might have been a story. It was like terms that can go in the bin in 2023 or something like that. It was really good. You see, it was good, eh?
Yeah, but then he put like the simpler after. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share my screen. No, I'm not. So yeah. So he's put adherence. I was going through all these, and then all the comments are it as well. So I was going through these and like trying to see which ones like annoy me. Illicit and hypertrophy. That one does. I don't like that one.
Yeah.
Blessed, gratitude. I'm pretty sure I've said that in a post, so I can't say anything about that. Nutrient partitioning. You can speak to some people in that way, I think, with that. So I don't really agree with that one. Deloads, maximum uptake. Deploy. I like deploy.
Yeah, deploy. I'm going to deploy trend.
So you're shooting it from a fucking bazooka. Density day.
I've never
heard potentiate
rib cages.
Not heard that.
Yeah, I don't know what you meant by rib cages. Core instead of cream of rice because you're more hardcore if you call it core. Tetrate. This one here. That one annoys me. So all that means is increase or decrease. Like
OnlyFans.
So so like in a scientific study you titrate like a dose or like a compound, and like if you're studying like certain like chemicals and stuff, that's where that comes from. Just say increase. I've increased it over time. You don't have to say, I don't know if it's titrate or titrate, but that's the definition. But like, why are you using words like that?
Yeah.
OnlyFans. Reps and reserve, that's always a good one. To be fair, I used to like rip the piss out of that one when that first came about. But saying to someone 1 rep in reserve is like a better way than saying stop 1 rep before you fail. I feel just like you're keeping 1 rep back. I don't know, it just comes across a little bit better because that one works for lifestyle clients. You can say that to a lifestyle client. Just reserve 1 rep before you.
I've never seen how that's programmed in.
Aye, well, we spoke to Joe about it.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with that. Jim Jeffries training that thing, that's ridiculous. But there'll be certain things like if I'm doing like just to say 3 sets for biceps, the first 2 sets are 1 rep in reserve, and then you go to failure in the last one. So I feel that works quite well. What do you think about improvement season?
Off season.
Yeah, like no one actually thinks you're taking it off. Yeah. No one thinks that. Because that is the whole thing, is, it shouldn't be treated as off. You're still on prep, technically. Yeah, we get that. We fucking get that. But, like, improvement season, just because, like, apparently off-season offensive. This one. I like androgen load.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Oh, biscuits. I've got to agree on the biscuits.
You don't like biscuits?
People calling plates biscuits, man.
What, so you wouldn't call a 1.25 a biscuit now?
No.
Would you not? No. Oh, shit, I would. I'd call that a biscuit.
A wee biscuit.
Is there any more?
Maybe it's because I've first seen it on prep.
Right, you're too strong to use biscuits anyway.
Same, no wonder.
Can't see any more. But I thought some of them were quite good.
Reverse band.
I reverse band everything. So yeah, I think obviously everyone's got different levels of what they think is appropriate language, but you can see why people are just like baffled by some language. So
everybody loves making up a word.
I know. You stand out, don't you?
Right.
So obviously, Greg, you're approaching like the contest prep season, so I thought we'd cover a wee bit of like how like anabolic stack designs like happen in a prep. So you want to talk through people like maybe obviously you haven't done one with Callum yet, but like in the past how you've like tapered drugs into a show. Like where would you start?
Do you want to do this on me or how I'd approach my clients?
Do with a client.
So obviously depending on like how far you are out, like usually I like to start, depending on obviously Luke, probably from an 18 to maybe a 14 week out, I would start someone on a prep, unless they're like really out of shape and I'm very unsure of how well they'll come in, maybe a 20-week prep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pretty much starting as minimal as possible, obviously test base, and then something very low, it's just like a primo, a mast, just so I can keep control of a lot of variables, bring them down to as low body fat as possible for around about the 8-week marker. And then I would start introducing, like, say, your clen, your T3, again, very low dose, is to see how well I can get off that within the coming week. So, like, say, 20 mcg a clen, maybe 12.5 T3. And then again, I'll just kind of see how that reacts with their body. And then possibly around in about that time as well, between the 8 to 6 week out marker, I probably introduce a little bit more, putting up their doses a little bit. So maybe a little bit more mast, see where their base is sitting with test. I wouldn't want to change that too much. Maybe introduce a little bit of tren. Again, I like to keep oils quite low. I don't want to introduce too much at that point because again, you could just start to look toxic. And then once I keep coming in that, I'd probably keep coming up their dosages of their clen, their T3, if it's responding well. And then probably around about the 4 to 3 week out marker, introduce like Winnie or something, possibly Anavar, and then get in the show. I try to keep Halo out just because I don't want to put in too many orals. And then it really depends if I think it's going to benefit them or not. If I think they're coming in quite well, I'll just leave it out. And then again, just try bring them into around about 2 weeks out to have them almost ready. And then again, it'll just be a case of bringing them in, dropping off fatigue, making sure cardio is coming down to a low amount, and then just try and peak them into the last week.
You touched on like not using like too much orals in a like comparatively to an off season. So how, in terms of like, just say off season's like 100% in terms of that person's dosage, where would you say you would set like a pre-contest stack in terms of like percentage wise? Is it like, is it 50% of what they use in off season? Is it 70? Is it 30? What do you think? Because obviously, like your only goal really in a contest prep, if we're breaking it down to the bare bones, is to maintain that muscle mass all the way through. We're not necessarily, the goal's not necessarily to add more size. Also, that's obviously a possibility that does happen, but we're not forcing the body up. We're just kind of keeping the muscle there so that we can focus on that deficit. So it is argued that you don't need to have a gram of test like you would in an off season. So
yeah, I mean, for me personally, in an off season, I like to go almost like the same approach as like starting a contest prep, but like obviously way higher dosages. So for me, I quite like running a high amount of primo. It does absolutely zero side effects, and I get a really good amount of muscle tissue being added, a really clean amount of muscle tissue. And then I would literally like trickle in like a tren if I really need it. But like I would honestly just keep it out if I don't have to. But 3 oils would be my maximum amount I would use in an off season. I don't know, just put too much more than that. You get away with 2 and you're getting good amounts off it, then great. Like I always try and say, the less you can get away with, the better. Don't throw things in just for the sake of it. Throw things in if you actually need it. But for me, I'm not a big advocate of orals in an off season, just because it absolutely ruins your appetite. It really mess up like your digestion as well.
But like if just say your off season is 1.5 grams, where would you say on average? I know everyone's different, but like, where would you say the pre-contest dosage sit in terms of overall like androgen load?
Probably similar towards the last end of the weeks, like into about the 4 to 1 week out mark. I try and cut everything out at 7 days out.
Yeah.
So no obviously injection at that point. Purely just down for site swelling. You want obviously the muscle coming as clean as possible. But yeah, I probably a bit the same as that, but based over like maybe 3 to 5 compounds towards that last peak. But like spaced out better.
Yeah.
High. But again, you could be dealing with somebody a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, a 180-pound client is not going to get the same away with a 280-pound client.
Yeah.
More muscle tissue will accept more oil.
It needs more oil. Yeah.
So like, the more muscle you carry, the more oil you can probably get, or the more gram or whatever you can get away with in terms of like how like your blood work will come back just as good.
Yeah.
More muscle is going to require more.
Jack, what did you do for your last contest prep? Do you remember in terms of the way you built it up?
So I think by the end, at the very end, I was on with a total probably about 1.2, 1.3 gram.
And where was your off season compared to that?
My off season was up around 2.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Different. Well, it was with prep. It was 8 weeks out. We switched to test train mast, and that's what we kept in from 8 weeks. Off season there. So so about just over half for me.
Aye. So you're sitting about like 60. You're sitting about like 60% of what you would be in an off season.
Thereabouts, yeah. And then with the orals, I think Ben, we were 4 weeks out before we put any VAR or Winstrol, and then Klein I don't think was till 6-7 weeks as well. So
yeah. Have you ever? I don't know if you've ever done it. I've never done it with myself. I have done it with clients though, where you put in fat burners right at the start to get like a kickstart. So like that first like 20 to 16 weeks out, you put them in then just to accelerate the process, because they may need 24 weeks rather than 20 or 18 weeks. That just kind of takes them in that little bit quicker. You then pull that out and then reserve it for use down the line. Have you ever done that before?
Never done it, but I would. No. Like it's the same case of being a bit stubborn.
Aye. Yeah, I found that one of my clients last year, he once like he got it going, got his body going. It was like that every day he would see differences, but that didn't start happening until like 11 weeks out, and he started at 20 weeks out. I was like, fuck, like this is really taking its time. So like we put in Klein and T3 in at 12 weeks, which is way earlier than I like to use them, and I think we've done it to 8 weeks, stopped again, and then put it back in 4 once things got up and running. So that's a very unique scenario. It doesn't always happen. Usually people just need to put them in and taper them up towards the show. But there is kind of instances where, for whatever reason, be it adherence, being in an off season too long, sometimes you need to use like fat burners a tad earlier and then remove them so you can use them down the line. Because you don't want to run T3 and Klein for 20 weeks. Like you're gonna what are you going to be on by the end? You know what I mean? So I do see like kind of unique.
Let me ask you this. You know, you're speaking about obviously overall gram. Do you think? Let me word this. Do you think that's actually like? What would be the fucking word? I don't know how to say it. Not fair, but like
an honest representation.
Yes. Because if you say like, I don't think it matters really, because not as in like you should be taking loads, but it's not comparable. That's the right word. I don't think it's comparable, because like say if you had somebody, right, say they're both based on 600 milligrams of test, right, but say one was on 1,000 grams of Primo, the other one was on 600 Tren and 400 Bold. which one would you say is going to have worse blood work?
Training Bolt, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do not think it's comparable. See, when people go, "Oh, I'm on this much grams a week," I don't think it matters, because I could guarantee, like, say I ran say I was on a 600 test, 1,000 primo, and then maybe like 200 DHB or something. Whereas, like I said, the other one was like maybe 600 tren, 400 bold, and then maybe something else. Like, I would guarantee I'd feel way better, and I'll probably get way better blood work than them, and my total overall is more.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
I really don't like when people see saying, "Oh, we're only on this much." I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's just it's not comparable at all, because so many different things will do different stuff to you. And like I said, like stuff like your mast and your primo are going to be way less harmful, in my opinion, than running like a higher amount of tren or deca.
Yeah. So like if you're on, because I know Dave Crossland likes to punt like super low test, high deca cycles. So like 800 plus deca. Like even if you're on 800 deca and 200 test, that's only a gram, which just say for super heavy is that's not a lot. You're gonna feel like fucking.
The overall of that one bad compound is way worse than your overall total in a week. It's way different. Like, it's just not comparable. And I hate when that seems to be like a brand new thing that's coming out as well. That's a new thing that needs to get the fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, the deca, high deca thing.
No, like people putting out like their total overall.
Oh, right, yeah, I got it.
But they won't tell you your compounds. Like, oh, I'm only on this much, but it could be like 200 tests and fucking 800 deca.
Yeah. And then you've got some
on a gram, but it could be horrendous.
Yeah, you've got some compounds as well where the potential of having to use like AIs like is obviously increased as well. So I would pull that into the equation too, you know.
Well, that's like we've kind of got that trend now in the UK, especially where a lot of coaches are following like Victor Black's models, which is the tapered use, like tapering, running tests up to a point that's manageable, or when you see yourself not like get obviously sides off the back of it. So running like your base test and leaving that there, and then using a DHT like primo and mast to push up, and then you cap off your total dosage with an MPP or like some trend. It just depends on, or DHB, like Greg said, just like low amounts of those compounds in like an off-season setting, and then doing kind of the same in pre-contest, but like you do, Jack, you're not running the same off-season amounts of the same drugs. Like Greg said, like we're considering like the same drugs, so you run like a lower amount so that we're not building that toxicity and that inflammation in the body. So do you follow Victor Black?
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of his arguments with the
I got a bit bored of him.
He's a bit of a dick. Like I think he's.
I don't like I stop watching him.
Yeah, he says he doesn't attack people. He fucking blatantly does.
It's
attacking people.
Yeah. You don't tag him in your posts.
No.
I really don't. I don't like him as a person just based off his posts. But when you look at the models themselves, what he's actually taught, it's really fucking interesting. It is really cool what he's done. You can see his mythology behind it. And like, don't get it wrong, see when he does pull some people up from what they've said, you kind of think like, I'm not gonna lie, I've probably said something like that in the past. I've probably said like, mast makes you go bald, because I've heard it from like the old school guys back in the day. I've not actually put any thought into why that isn't true. And then obviously Victor Black lays it out. And I think that's what he thinks he's doing. He thinks he's correcting people, but he is attacking people, like, especially he was attacking JP and stuff like that. So, but the models themselves, Victor Black aside, is really interesting. It's really cool.
So, I do actually like his models, and that's pretty much like how even Calm runs stuff. Like you're saying that your test won't elevate much, but like things like your primo and your mass, you can really elevate and use that as like the main source in a cycle, and then trickle in your bad stuff at a lower amount, so it'll be more tolerable as damaging.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's what I've run this year, and it's worked incredibly well. And it's what I've been doing with my clients as well. Like I try and use, like you're saying, like your stuff like your Primo and your Mast as almost like an anti-inhibitor of, like, say, your other compounds. Instead of running like an AI, like you can run Mast or your Primo can kind of take down your estrogen.
Yeah.
But you're also getting like the benefits of that compound.
We kind of went by feel, because I know, like, obviously you don't handle nandrolone well, and like I don't handle AIs well. Like I feel fucking terrible on AIs, even in the off season. So like I wasn't going off anything scientific. I was just like, I remember when I started working with Patrick, he had me, he wanted me to use Aromacid in the off season. I was like, I'm not using that, mate. I don't mind feeling like shite pre-contest and using an AI, but I'm not using that in the off season. So I've in the past I've just gone off by feel, but like the black models lay out why certain things are, you know what I mean? It was really cool. So, if anyone's, I think we're an hour in, but if anyone's listening this far, like follow Victor Black on Instagram, but be wary of the fact that he does post stuff that's just fucking pure bitchy, and it's definitely not a good look. So, aye. That's all the topics that come. Anything
you said you could probably disagree with like Dave Crosland on, but again, they're still the top speakers of what they're doing. But I mean,
yeah,
everybody's got an opinion on everything.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm sure Dave will cite certain quote unquote studies as to why high DECA cycle is better. I mean, I think has JP not spoken about high nandrolone cycles before as well?
No test.
He actually did that as well. He actually ran like purely DECA.
Yeah, he said, did he not say he felt great on it?
Yeah, he felt great.
Yeah, well, there you go. Like, I mean, we can always refer back to studies, and that's fine. Obviously, the same topic applies with training, but at the end of the day, they're not doing big, like 1,000 persons sample size of 250, 300 pound bodybuilders going into contest season or high level super heavyweights. They're not doing those studies in universities. So you still do have to there is still a lot of an aspect of bodybuilding that is empirical, just like what we've seen over the years. Like we've seen training, like a work in a back offset does this. We've seen that if you do Victor Black's models, it does this. Granted, he's obviously had scientific background, but a lot of it is just like, let's try this, let's see how it goes, let's see how it works. Because like we said, there are people who will do 800 grams of DECA and 1 mil a test and be absolutely fine and love that. But the science doesn't back that up at all in terms of toxicology or whatever, you know. So it is very much like.
I'll tell you something funny. Right? That was what I got told last week, and I literally I didn't believe it at all. But then supposedly the boy had done it said it's true. Like it was I'm not gonna say who it was, but they were speaking about how much they used to take. He doesn't take anymore, but he says like back when he used to compete, how much he used to take. And like I was like, there's just no fucking way you'd be dead. Like there's no way. But supposedly it's true, right? So he used to take test 300, a bottle a week.
Right. Wait.
Yeah.
3 grams a week. Not 3 grams. 10 grams. Right.
Tren, he was 2 bottles a week. Trenny.
Oh my God.
Mate, and that was like, there was 2 other compounds like just as bad.
It's piss would have been like treacle.
I was just like, what the actual fuck? There's no way. He's like, yeah, it's like what I fucking used to run. Like I didn't know any better. Thought more was more.
Do I know him?
No.
They're not.
No, he's an older boy, but I was getting told the story of one of the other boys who was training with the weekend, and I was just like, fucking hell. Like, how did your live and just not pack in?
That's the thing though, is like you have these people who I guarantee you, not guarantee you, but I bet you if you looked at his like blood work, it'd be fine. You'd just be one of those guys. Totally fine. But you get someone who does 1 mil of test and they grow fucking tits. Like it's that's fucking. Where do you put all that?
I don't know. I don't know. You'd have fucking glutes with like footballs hanging at them.
Aye. Unless he's found a way to drink it or something.
You know what was I was actually going to bring this up as well. Like you were just talking about there, like the trends from last year. Like no, obviously, like very very sad, but like, there was obviously a few bodybuilders that died, and then there was a massive uproar of like we need to filter and change things within bodybuilding. Like we need to stop like taking so many drugs and this and that, and the ones that are harmful us that could do this. And then there was like Cuba and stuff started going, oh, you only need to run test and mass to get big. Like you don't need to run more than that, this and that. And then like everybody started jumping on that bandwagon, took it, and it was like, just doing fuck all. Yeah, we're going to go back to what we're doing. Like everybody's like out of that now and like totally doing what we were before, and it's working. But like, I find everybody's like, oh, it's all we need to do. And I was like, yeah, it's not fucking working.
What's the highest user run test? Both of you.
E900.
1.2.
And what would you say is your sweet spot?
750.
800.
Alright, so around that region then. I'm the same.
With 750, I feel fine. But like, I just honestly use it to as like the main base. But I mean, like 750, 800, I'll feel okay. But 1.2, I felt horrific.
Yeah,
I've started to thin and stuff.
Right, I've gone a gram of test before, but like I see the same results on 750, 800. So I ran 900 for the last like 4 weeks of my last push, purely because it's just like it's 1 mil anyway. Like test 300, I was like fuck it, just do the mil 3 times a week. Fuck it. There was no thought process behind it.
When I was at peak 300, my test was at 700.
There you go.
So that's like this year has been the lowest my test has been in about 2 years.
Hold on, but would you say, did you get to that 300 doing 750?
I was lower. I was 625 and I went to 750.
Right, okay. Right. So you didn't break the 300 mark on 1.2?
No.
Right, okay.
That was last year with JP.
That's fair enough. So I was thinking like you can, I've even heard Jay Cutler talk about it where you can run like quite high, get to a certain size and then downscale from there.
No, I just kind of stayed about it. The only thing that elevated really was my primo. I went from 800 to 1.2.
Fucking 1.2 primo, fucking hell.
I know that it literally is a pain in the ass. That's all.
Yeah, fuck me.
All it is. But like honestly, like I'm not going to say take that amount, but for me that works great. But it's expensive and it's a lot of fucking oil. I mean, obviously 1 mil is only 100 milligrams. You need to take 12 shots of that a week. But I mean, like honestly, it works for me.
I think that's why for me as well. Like I say, like I took 900 tests just because like it's 1 mil and makes it just easier. But like I didn't want to put my primo up. I think I think I tapped out at 800. That's the highest my primo went. I was like, I'm unwilling to jab that many times, so I'm just going to up my test by 0.5, and I'm getting a greater amount of anabolics in, and a more powerful one as well, rather than taking the primo. So. But yeah, there's a as we kind of spoken about, we kind of seen like there is like that kind of baseline where the way in which people do things is relatively similar throughout the industry. And you're obviously going to have extremes. You're going to have extremes of the guys who say fucking 3 grams and a gram of that is trend and stuff like that. And you've got guys who say, right, all you have to run is like a sniff of test and that's it. Like those are the extremes. Everyone seems to have, depending on the size of the guys, seems to have that kind of where everyone sort of sits. And you know, if you're listening to this and you're running 2 grams of test a week, trust me, you're using way too much. There's no point in doing that. There's just no point. You're definitely not the size to accommodate that. And even if you were 350 pounds, like you still don't need to run 2 grams of test in order to maintain that or push that. So
nobody should have done that at all.
No, fuck that. That was definitely a bad example, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So, I think that's coming up for an hour. Sorry, we were early there. So that was another good one. All I've been doing in the past week is just kind of taking notes on what I see on Instagram and stuff for the topics and that. So, because like, when we do the questions, fuck, no one answers. So, yeah, I've just been taking that sort of thing. So, cheers for listening. If you've got this far, I thought it was another good one. We touched quite a few good topics there. So, of course, if you want to ask us questions, feel free to DM all of us, and we'll take your questions from there. And again, like anything you need to do social media wise in terms of following the channel, sharing, liking, and all that stuff, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. So, cheers again, guys.
Thank you.